Welcome to Inside Benedict Football with head coach Ron Dickerson Jr. Coach, good to see you, man.
Glad to be here.
Oh, no question about it. We're going to get all into this, but first let's also thank our sponsors as well. We got Founders Federal Credit Union, Lexington Medical Center, as well as Columbia Metropolitan Airport, and of course those folks who always hang with us, South Carolina Education Lottery. Thank you all for sponsoring. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate what you're doing. Coach, we know that you're excited to be a part of Benedict College and your vision and what you have expected for these Tigers.
That's so true. I mean, you know, it's a great college. Dr. Artis has done a great job of leading this program and leading the institution. The alumni have done a great job. And, you know, the football program before I got here speaks for itself. And so, you know, I just want to continue by taking the baton and pushing it forward off the field and on the field.
What's it been like for you, you know, since arriving in Columbia and going through training camp with these guys?
It's been a whirlwind, you know. A couple months ago, there was about 30 of them here, and now I got about 130 plus. But just watching them develop, you know, my big thing is instilling culture and making them a better husband, father, employer, employee. You win off the field, you'll win on the field. And it does not happen overnight. It does not happen, you know, over the month that I've had them. And so you just keep working to instill that in them.
You know, you talk about working with these kids, and I know there's a lot of new faces with this team as well. And we're going to get to know some of these players coming up a little later. But tell us about some of the key Tigers for this season.
Well, you know, we'll start on defense. You got Aaron Miller. Aaron Miller's a young man that was on the team previous. Aaron's a preseason All-American. Aaron's a great leader off the field, and he loves Benedict. That's one of the reasons why he, you know, when he did an interview earlier, he said he stayed, and then, you know, he became to love the coaching staff and love Coach Spearman, who coaches him. And so, you know, Aaron does what you want as a veteran player, you know, in that situation. You move on to the linebacker room. You have Ty Patterson. Ty's a great player, had a good game. You'll hear later on from Isaiah Stevens. He's another linebacker, probably had the best game on defense. Then you get out there to Nolan Jones, who's also somebody who was on the team previously and was, you know, one of our elite Tigers. You get into the secondary, and we have a younger group over there. You know, nobody really except for Cameron Davis was on the team, and Cameron played and started. But, you know, you have Dante Drake that had a good game, and he had a great camp. And so, you know, that is something that we have to build on in that situation. And then when you get over to the offensive side of the ball, you know, that's really the one that there's no veterans over there. I mean, we have a lot of freshmen, a lot of inexperience that's on the offensive side. You know, Damian Moats is a freshman running back that, you know, got hurt in the game, but we are expecting big things from him. You know, Jalen Leary played a lot, rushed for over 100 yards, and did really, really well. Missed a couple opportunities, as we'll talk, you know, but Zach Gibson as a wide receiver. Shataris Williams as a wide receiver also, you know, and then we had, again, quite a few freshmen that played over there on that side. Once you get into, you know, the kicking game, you know, we go through scenarios, and our long snapper did a great game, had a great game, especially with him scoring the only touchdown, you know, Jesse Bradbury. But Lucas Wynn, for having to carry the load of all the kicks and everything, did a great job also. And Lucas is also a carryover from the previous team.
You know, speaking about the game and so forth, you guys had the opportunity to take a trip to Canton, Ohio, which is the birthplace of professional football, and you played in the Black College Football Hall of Fame game at the beautiful Tom Benson Stadium. So a lot of great things to see, a lot of great things to do over that way, and it had to be something special for these young men.
It really was, you know, and it was kind of a catch-22, though. You know, the first game, having a brand new team, there was a lot of lights and a lot of distractions, but as a life lesson, we learned so much. Those young men, to be able to meet people that, you know, they've only watched on TV, and to actually see that if you put your academics and you put your mannerism off the field and you play hard, you can put yourself in great situations. And to be able to sit down with some of those Hall of Famers, you know, it was just to see, it was like Christmas for some of my guys, you know, into that and to experience that. And so, you know, taking from the festivities, I wouldn't trade that for the world, you know, especially with the first game. Again, just watching those Hall of Famers talk to them, you know, that's a dream come true for a lot of my guys, and it was just an honor. The Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, did a great job, and I want to thank them for inviting Benedict to, represent the SIAC into that. But can't speak enough on just a great experience, even for myself and my coaching staff. But them young men, they were just gleaming from ear to ear.
Had to be. They had a great reception for these guys, and here it is, a room full of Hall of Famers. It had to be something great for these. The significance behind that had to be wonderful for them, and also for you too, Coach.
Hey, it was, again, too, as a little kid, watch people run up and down the field, and then to actually now be standing in front of them, shake their hand, them give you words of encouragement, not only for the game, but for life, to walk through the Hall of Fame and see how football, the sport that you're playing and that you love, how it has evolved into, being the same place that all those busts of the guys that were inducted into the Hall of Fame stood, the field that they were on, and now you get the opportunity to have that moment. Again, there's not enough words to express that the excitement of what went on. And again, you're talking to a grown man, but just imagine if you're a young man that, has never really had anything good in their lives. And all of a sudden now you have this presented to you for the hard work that you've done. It shows you that just continue to work hard.
And it's all about that dream of being able to play on Sundays, and you're on the field where NFL team plays on Sundays.
Correct.
These kids had to feel like you said, a candy store, just a dream come true for these guys.
Yeah, that was the blessing and the curse, and especially for us, there was so much excitement, and being that we were such a young team, they did a great job. My team did a great job of handling it. But, to open up and have all that going on, in the back of their mind, there were some distractions, instead of just playing that. But, again, taking the learning experience for those guys, I'd give that to them 100%, wouldn't change anything about it. A lot of lessons that we learned. And, the great thing about it is we get to go forward.
All right, so Benedict receives the ball to get the opening kickoff. Zach Gibson gets the quick pass, a play with a lot of potential for this season as well. It should be a key contributor to the Tigers, don't you say?
Oh, 100%. There was 3 or 4 times that we couldn't get the ball to Zach and he was wide open, and again, that's first game jitters from the quarterback and situations that Zach put himself in a situation to help the team. We just got to continue to work on that. And the stage was bigger than you can simulate during the fall camp. But yes, Zach's going to be a big contributor for us. And that's one of the things why we wanted to open the game by calming the quarterback down and getting it to our playmakers.
Right. Couple of plays later, Jalen Leary, this guy, breakout. We're facing a 3rd and 6. He gets a big gain, 47 yards on this one. And as a matter of fact, this guy's a graduate student finishing his career at Stetson. Matter of fact, he was the all-time leading rusher for that school. So we get this guy. He ends up with 109 yards, 14 carries. And for that, a fantastic debut. Leary was named the SIAC's Newcomer of the Week. Coach, you got to be proud of this guy.
Oh, very much so. That was the expectation when we went out and had to compete with a lot of schools to get the young man here. And when he decided, we knew that, we could use him to help move the ball. And, the only thing I was disappointed was it was 47 and not 50, because I think we would have gotten the end zone if it was 50. But again, he's getting into true game shape and everything else, and to be able to do the things that he did, not only on that run, but also throughout the game. Anybody rushes for over 100 yards, that's impressive. And so, that young man did that, and that's why we recruited him. But off the field, he's a great young man. He's a great leader, very well spoken. And as you mentioned, he's working on his master's. So, that shows you right there that his vision off the field is bigger than on the field, and he just has fun on the field.
Tigers can't punch it in, but we bring in Lucas Wynn, the preseason all SIAC kicker, but he comes short of his field goal. But then you get some craziness that goes on the field as well, Coach.
That's true. On Fridays, we walk through a whole bunch of different scenarios. What happens if the ball's blocked and it goes on this side? What happens if the ball blocks and it goes on the opposing side? And so Lucas goes in, he's a little antsy, and I'm watching it, and then all of a sudden we hear thump and it gets blocked. Well, so happened the ball bounces on our side, and Jesse Bradbury, our long snapper, says, "Coach, I feel the ball hit the back of my leg, so I know I can pick it up and score." He picks it up and he runs into the end zone. And being that the ball was on our side, it's still a live ball for us to advance the ball. And so we laughed because, that was one of the scenarios that we worked on. If the ball's on our side, pick it up and advance it. And it just so happened that preparation played in a role for that. And next thing you know, we're up 6-0.
Win adds the extra point. Benedict's up 7-0. Now here it is. Defense turn to get out there on that field and see what they could do against Virginia State's offense.
Yeah, that's true. And that was one of the things that I was really excited about, to see what our defense, because we got a lot of speed on the defense. And we knew we were going against a great team that ran the ball and, when they needed to throw. But, one of our key players that played really well, Amarion Terry, had a big stop. And, that helped us with settling down and playing our style of football.
Then also later in the drive, Isaiah Stevens, he comes up with a big stop on third down, forces the Trojans to punt. You guys get the ball back. Got a little issues going on.
No, not a little, a lot,
Okay.
A lot of it, though, is pregame jitters, into that. And we had some really costly penalties, had a holding penalty. We were actually advancing and moving the ball in good field position. But anytime you start in the negative, that's very hard to overcome that, especially with a very young offense. But we hurt ourselves, shot ourselves in the foot by having holding penalties, which caused us later on to really pay for that in that situation and backed us up from advancing the ball.
Trojans get the ball back midfield. They're 3rd and short, and they air it out deep.
Penalties. And we jump off sides. He jumped off sides. Aaron Miller should have jumped off sides and just went for the quarterback. They would have blew the whistle, but he stopped and tried to get back. And usually that's what they call free play on offense. And so our defensive backs running, it seems like the play is going on forever. He kind of slows down. They keep running because the guy sees the ball. And next thing you know, they score a touchdown. And so, again, as we did the previous drive on offense, we hurt ourselves with penalties. Now we come back, we give up a touchdown because of penalties. And so, that's how a game will change in one play.
And there it is, 7-7, 3:18 left in this first quarter. Benedict's next series, we see a nice game with Zay Foster, despite being the recipient of a face mask tackle that he's done. But he's been a player that's been in the program for several years now, and of course adjustments are being made.
Yeah, Zay, off the field's a great man. And I will talk about all my players off the field first before I talk about what they can do on the field, because, that's what we're instilling in them. But Zay has so many different talents. He can run the ball, he can catch the ball, he can throw the ball. And so in this offense, you need that bell cow, that utility person, and that's what Zay's done. And Zay's been around the SIAC and in this, playing football at a collegiate level. He's been able to give us that extra oomph that we needed, and he's embraced that role great, And so you look up, Zay goes in, he breaks out, he gets face mask. A lot of guys would have been complaining. Zay just keeps on running, and next thing you know, as you said, it's a big play. So I'm really proud of Zay's experience.
Penalties, once again, costly for Benedict. Trey Simmons, the QB, had a big, long run, but that was brought back because of holding. Now you got the teams both trading punts back and forth. Now there's a key play that, of course, big 42-yard pass for the Trojans and another 15 yards tacked on to that for roughing the passer.
Penalties hurt us. The good thing, though, is how we will progress from week 1 to week 2. Again, this team has never played together. And all the excitement, everything we talked about, and I'm not using this as an excuse, I'm looking at it as a stepping stone. We hurt ourselves with penalties. If you go back, we beat ourselves. We get a big run penalty. We have an opportunity to give up a big pass, but then extra 15 gives them more yardage. And when you talk about hitting yardage, we lost that, which is a key in winning football games, is turnovers and hidden yardage by penalties. And we lost both of those categories. And as you mentioned, penalties. It stopped our momentum offensively. It gave them every big play that they had on defense was penalties.
Virginia State gets the ball. Now they're on the 12-yard line.
I mean, now you put the defense up against a wall, But the good thing about it is we talk about bend, don't break. And, a lot of confidence in that group. And, they're going to stand their ground and try to keep them out as much as possible. But getting down there again was because of a penalty.
So in the next series, Benedict College gets the ball back. They get a nice pass from Trey Simmons to Shatarius Williams. 11-yard gain on that, but the Tigers are forced to punt once again.
Again, you know, if we don't keep a drive going, it's going to hurt us. And then the next thing you know, we punt, give them the ball back. And at that point in time, you know, we're thinking that they're going to do something else. Our linebacker fits wrong, and 82 yards later, they're in the end zone. And so, you know, in that moment of seeing how, you know, it's all hidden yardage, if we were to get the first down instead of punting, we would have kept the drive alive. But instead, we had to punt, and the next thing you know, unsound in that one play, but it gives up a big play, and that's usually how big plays happen. And so, you know, they go down, they score, but again, we bend, we don't break, and they missed the field goal. And at that point in time, you know, we're still in the game. We're just hurting ourselves.
Right. So that's the half, 16-7. Trojans are up over Benedict. Your thoughts on the first half?
You know, we have costly penalties. And, you know, I'm looking going, man, this is the first time this team's ever played together. We're beating ourselves. You know, Virginia State's a great team. But the Benedict Tigers are beating themselves. And a lot of that is the inexperience. I mean, there's maybe in that first quarter 3 to 4 guys that actually played as a Benedict Tiger for a complete game, you know, last year. And so going through that, we knew there was going to be lumps and that, you know, we were going to be able to work on it, but I wasn't in a situation of duress. I wasn't worried. You know, we just had to correct some of those mistakes that we had. And if we could do that, we would be able to be in the game. And it was a big learning curve.
What was the mindset of the players at halftime when you went to the locker room and talked to them?
They knew that we were beating ourselves, you know. But again, you're trying to find out who's a leader. Guys are trying to make plays, you know. But coming out of the locker room, there was a ton of energy. They understood what we were saying. They listened to the adjustments and all that. I don't think there was an ounce of this game is over at all. You know, it was just, guys, and this is what I told them. I says, we will not win this game if we continue to beat ourselves. If we correct our mistakes, we'll win this game. And, you know, that's a big task when you look at, again, that was the first time that the Benedict Tigers have ever played as a football team in such a big setting. And again, I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just facing and telling the truth about reality, is that these young men have never played in that setting. And that was the first half of football that they did that. And, you know, good or bad, we're down 16-7.
Inside Benedict football with head coach Ron Dickerson Jr. We're going to come back with the second half. Plus, we're going to have the Lexington Medical Center Spotlight Player. We're going to bring that to you as well. Sponsored by Federal Credit Union. We'll be right back after this.
Life moves fast, and while you're raising future MVPs, it's good to know you've got a teammate with Founders, a partner you can trust to always have your back. With products and services that give you the freedom to focus on the more important things. While you're sharing those moments, remember, we're here for one single reason, to help grow your financial success. So when the game is done, you can relax. Because at Founders, our most valuable player is you.
Some days your strength and resolve are tested. You need a team behind you to keep you going. The experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine provide specialized treatment for the athlete in all of us. Backed by the #1 rated hospital in the Midlands, life's a sport. Keep playing.
Welcome back to Inside Benedict Football with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. It is now time for the Lexington Medical Center Player Spotlight. We have with us right now Isaiah Stevens, Roanoke, Virginia.
Yes, sir.
Senior, come from the mountains to the countryside of South Carolina. We appreciate you being here,
yes,
chatting with us for a little bit as well, trying to get to know who you are as a person as well. Tell me, what inspired you to play football? What was your drive, your determination?
So growing up, obviously, in the mountains and stuff, you have Virginia Tech down the road, you have Liberty, UVA, and growing up, like being younger, we had video games. You got NCAA was still out when that was out, so we get to play that with my dad and waking up and playing watching College Game Day and Lee Corso, loved it.
Yeah.
And started playing when I was younger, but really grew to love it. I went to my first UVA football game. Fell in love with the atmosphere. Atmosphere got me, seeing all the guys play and seeing how big they were, I was like, that's what I want to do, no doubts. And ever since then, all I wanted to do was just play football.
But you like to hit, though. You're a linebacker. So what put you on that side of the ball?
I don't know. I think it was when I was younger, my dad did the offense, and the other coach would do the defense. They were like co-head coaches.
Okay.
And my dad said, go play defense because I don't want to coach you. You're my son. So I think that's what happened. And then as I got going, I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with the hard nose, hey, when you need to stop, who do you call? You don't call the offense when you need to stop. You call the defense.
Absolutely.
And, they'll say is defense wins championships, and I like that.
There you go. Any influences, mentors that of course guided you through your way?
My father was the first one. He's always tried to steer me the right way. Where he was younger in my age, he didn't do things the right way, and now he saw us like, hey, I have two. It's me and my little brother. We both were like, hey, these guys have potential. Let's put them the right way. And then as I got to high school, Coach Harris was my high school coach, and he was fantastic, man. I mean, 10 out of 10, great man. And then as I've gotten to college, just great people over and over again. I've been blessed to have this many great people in my life.
Yeah. And it's got to be tough, too, when you talk about going to school and also playing football and then doing outside community service. The balance. How do you balance all of this?
A lot of it makes it easy when you love what you do, right? It's really easy to wake up at 5:30 in the morning, whenever you have to wake up, if you like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And most of the time, that's what it is. Like, if I have to get up early for football, that's the easy part.
Right.
Getting up early, not that hard. It's football. And then balancing school, right, you need a degree. And that's, I mean, it's not that hard. You just go to class, you do what you need to do, and that's what part of being a man is, too, is knowing I have these obligations and I need to do it.
There you go. And what are your goals? What do you see yourself after college?
After college, I want to be a collegiate football coach. So I would like to have Coach Campbell or Coach Dickerson's job one day. So that's what I want to do. And I try to come in and learn as much as I can. It's part of why I'm here is learning after these guys, and they're so freaking smart. So it's been awesome.
Gotcha. What if you end up playing Sundays?
That would be a blessing. If that came calling, I'd love that. But do one day at a time.
Playing for the Cowboys?
No, sir.
Come on.
How about the Saints?
We thank you so much, Isaiah Stevens. Appreciate you chatting with us. Inside Benedict Football with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. Cowboys. Cowboys.
Saints.
Back after this.
Life moves fast, and while you're raising future MVPs, it's good to know you've got a teammate with Founders, a partner you can trust to always have your back. With products and services that give you the freedom to focus on the more important things. While you're sharing those moments, remember, we're here for one single reason, to help grow your financial success. So when the game is done, you can relax. Because at Founders, our most valuable player is you.
I want to welcome you back to Inside Benedict Football with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. And also, too, it was great to get to know Isaiah Stevens, linebacker for BC as well. All right, Coach, here it is, second half. We get the kickoff going on. Virginia State receives the ball. They go 75 yards, 8 plays, and another touchdown.
You know, a lot of people that understand football understand that really the most important part of the game is how a team comes out in the third quarter. And again, this was a great lesson for us as a team. Unfortunately, you know, they drove the ball down on an 8-play drive and scored. But we didn't break. We just continued to have stupid penalties. We overthrew a couple times. Offensively, we had some successful drives. We just couldn't finish them. You know, and that's part of football. Is like them, they had the drive and they scored. We had drives, but we didn't finish. And in football, you got to get in the end zone. And we were unable to do that, you know. But to hold them to a 8-play drive, and I think there was a third down that they converted, actually, that the defense, you know, we got into the wrong coverage right at the end, or we would have had a stop. And that's what we needed. And, you know, that was kind of the turning point of that whole series there.
23-7. Virginia State is up on this one, but then we get a game delay as well. How much did that affect the flow of this game for Benedict?
It really didn't. I mean, you know, you got a new team. I am a big guy on, you know, distractions. And I think getting that long drive and then having to come back in, we were able to refocus. And, you know, it became a stalemate. I wish after the the rain delay, we would have played the whole game like that, you know, in that situation. Because as you watch this team from the first quarter to the second quarter to that long drive through before the rain delay and then after, we grew so much. We just didn't have the clock on our side and the time. And, you know, trying to do that in half of a third quarter and a fourth quarter, it was hard, again, with a very new team. But, I mean, they came out, they had a ton of energy, and in their minds, they knew we were going to win the game. As long as, again, we didn't hurt ourselves.
Tigers are driving down. They get a good 30-yard run by Trey Simmons here, but the Tigers fumble the ball. But on the next play, they recover that ball, but they also have a 14-yard loss. What's that, Coach?
No, that's very disappointing because this is coming out of the rain delay. We're on the 32-yard line, about to go in and score, you know, and the next thing you know, the ball goes over Trey's head, and now we're out of scoring position. We can't kick a field goal. We're backed up, and again, the experience becomes panic for some guys. And so instead of us being an opportunity to at least get 4 or 5 more yards and kick a field goal, we have, because of the mishap of the snap, have put ourselves out of scoring situation. And again, going back to it, we are beating ourselves.
What? All right, so as we roll into the fourth quarter, Benedict is trying to put something together. Virginia State intercepts Trey Simmons on this play. Then the Trojans, they end up having to punt the ball back to Benedict, but then again, we throw another interception.
As I mentioned earlier, you know, turnovers and hidden yards, and that's what beat us Sunday. You know, again, Virginia State's a very good team, but we beat ourselves by turnovers. I think we had 3 costly turnovers. You know, we're driving the ball, we turned the ball over, as we mentioned before. You know, a 14-yard loss when you're inside the scoring zone, that doesn't help. And, you know, that kind of changes the momentum of the game, especially as now the clock's not on our side. You're driving, and with an inexperienced team, does the adrenaline come back in instead of just doing what you need to do? And I think that's what happened on that second interception with Trey, is he was forcing something and he shouldn't have. Because realistically, if he would have threw the ball down the field, the receiver would have caught it and probably put us in, if not scored, but put us in a situation to score.
But you get a spark from Ty Patterson. He forces a fumble, which is a great little spark for the team.
It just shows that we're still playing, you know, and we know that there's hope. And that's one thing that we've instilled in him, is that you play until there's 0-0 on the clock. And so, you know, he comes and has a great hit, causes a fumble. We get the ball back, and it gives a breath of life back into, you know, turnover after turnover. We just lost a turnover battle.
You put your freshman quarterback in, Jackson Jensen, gets his first collegiate action.
Yes, and, you know, that's the thing about this, is that experience, you know, and he's really good. The problem is just he was a freshman. And, you know, Trey did what he needed to do to beat him out. Kamari Fry was coming off of an injury. Kamari and Trey were battling, and you know, Jack was doing a great job. And that's what we call him. But I knew that Trey was struggling a little bit in the passing game, and that's Jack's specialty, you know, that he can spin that ball. And so I wanted the young man to get the worst scenario to see if he can handle it. And I mean, he did. He did a great job moving the ball down the field. And, you know, that's what, when you're building a team, that's what you need. You need to give those young men experience. Last year, this time, he was playing high school. Now he's playing in one of the biggest stages in college football. And I think he handled it well.
Yeah, I mean, and playing in the Black College Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. That's really huge for this guy. So they're getting this experience, and I'm sure once they get their feet under them, these guys are going to do some great things.
That's true. I mean, you know, again, from as many freshmen we played, I think we played 20 freshmen, you know, and they weren't just going in the game because you were losing or this. They were in key roles. And, you know, that's a lot. And we're building this team to be very successful, and that's the experience that they needed. It was just on one of the biggest stages that they've ever played in. And I think they did well. Again, I'll go back, and we hurt ourselves. Turnovers and penalties and hidden yards, we beat ourselves in that situation. But we have a lot to learn, and that's where you go from week 1 to week 2.
All right. That's the way that game ends, too. It's 23-7. The Trojans beat Benedict in this game. But coming up, though, we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back Columbia Metropolitan Airport. We're going to do the assistant coach spotlight. And this is Inside Benedict College Football with Coach Ron Dickerson, Jr. Be back after this.
Your trip begins now. Your trip is your story, and all the best stories begin right here at the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Whether you travel for business or pleasure, we designed CAE to maximize your comfort. Maybe your trip is one of discovery, reunion, or time to close the deal. Wherever your trip ends, it all begins right here, the Columbia Metropolitan Airport. Fly with ease.
Life moves fast, and while you're raising future MVPs, it's good to know you've got a teammate with Founders, a partner you can trust to always have your back, with products and services that give you the freedom to focus on the more important things. While you're sharing those moments, remember, we're here for one single reason: to help grow your financial success. So when the game is done, you can relax, because at Founders, our most valuable player is you.
Welcome back to Inside Benedict College Football Show with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr. I'm Dennis Switzer, Senior Director of Athletic Communications, and I'm here with the Columbia Metropolitan Airport Coaches Spotlight. And today we're lucky to have Coach Shay Campbell. Welcome, Coach.
How we doing?
Good, good, good. Our defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. Coach, just talk a little bit about what inspired you to pursue a coaching career.
So for me, playing, I realized that, when I got to the end of my college career that I kind of knew football really well. And just being able to, when I was playing, being able to help my teammates understand the game and just seeing, the feeling that it gave me whenever I would tell them things and they would correct it and they'd go make plays, it was almost better than me making the play. So just understanding that, I can help a lot of these, student athletes get a degree, become better men, and then also, pursue their goals in playing football is something that really, helped me pursue this.
So when you were a player, you were kind of like a coach on the field a little bit?
Yeah, so when I was at West Florida, I was a player coach, you'd say. So I just kind of knew everything. I just had a really good understanding of the game and a grasp of our defense altogether, and just being able to help a lot of guys understand it as well was something that I took pride in.
What are some of your favorite memories or moments as a coach?
Shoot, we just played Virginia State. It was my first game calling plays. That was definitely probably the most memorable one to date. I know that my other memory I have was we played at Valdosta, Georgia in 2022 on the road. In pregame, we found out Delta State had lost, and we knew we had to win the GSC, and we went for 2 in overtime to win the game, and that was probably the most memorable coaching experience I got right now.
Great, great. So how do you balance the demands of coaching time with demands of your personal life and things like that? How do you?
So being able to have a healthy balance in life is extremely important. And I know that this job is really demanding, and I don't know if there's really truly a time where I'm not working. But being able to try and separate myself from being in the work atmosphere and being at home is something that I really take pride in, because I know that when I come into work, I want to have a clear head and I want to have a clear thought process, and just being able to have a balance helps me understand that and keeps that flow. So, I usually take the 10-15 minute drive home, and I take that time to detach myself away from being at work, and even though, again, I'm still thinking about football and I still work at home, but being able to separate myself and know that I'm still human. I got to take trash out, so I got to make dinner. I got to do a lot of other things, but just being able to separate that and have a healthy balance, I think just helps me so much with work.
Talk a little bit about some of your interests outside of football, and I know you come from a big family, football type family.
Yeah, I do. So football has always been a part. I mean, I think I was sitting in a defense meeting this morning, and first question I asked, was there any football on tonight? And it's Tuesday after Labor Day, and it's just like, well, no, there's not any football on. So, I like to play golf. It's a hobby I picked up probably about a year ago. So it's something that, I got the itch for it, but it's football season, so there's not much time for that. Really, other than that, I mean, I'm football. There's not much else I do. I work all day, I'm here all day, and it's football season, so it's tough to really have much time to do other stuff.
Talk a little bit about your family history. I mean, you guys have a...
Yeah, so my grandfather's Gene Steratore. He's was a big official in the Big East back in the day. And then my uncles, Gene Steratore and Tony Steratore. Gene Steratore works, he's always the official in the box. The guy who's always on TV, works with, I believe it's Romo and all of them. And, he does a great job there. And then my other uncle, Tony Steratore, he was a back judge for, I don't know, I want to say like 19 years in the NFL. He's head of the, I believe, the NFLPA for officials. So, we come from a family that loves football, loves sports.
Some of my cousins are officials for basketball. One of my other uncles is an official for basketball. Another one of my uncles is an NFL official still. He's a side judge. So, I mean, it's in my family just to be around sports and be around the game, but definitely come from a family of officials. And, I try not to be too hard on the officials, but sometimes my standards are really high, and it's really hard to keep back how I'm feeling about it. So
that must have been really interesting at the family gatherings, with that kind of group of men to listen to and talk about some of their stories.
Oh, some of the stories there are crazy. I mean, I know we would always go. So we're a big Italian family, so we always have Feast of the Seven Fishes, and you go down to we'd always do my uncle's house. So we'd always go over there, and he's got pictures of him and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and he's got pictures of like Ed Reed and like in live action shots, and it's just like, man, you just ask him about questions like, oh, how was so and so? Like, oh, he's awesome in person, and just hearing their stories is really, it's almost inspiring, because you're like, man, I want to do stuff like that. Like, that'd be sweet to be like, yeah, I know so and so because I coached him or I played against him and I got to have that opportunity.
And finally, what values or principles do you use to motivate and mentor the young players today?
So I think that, with the world that we live in, there's not a lot of positive male figures in a lot of these young kids' lives, and it's really hard for them to understand, what compassion means from a male, and that gives me, me being the coach that I am and being a person who is relatable and understanding and, still holding them to the standard that we have of discipline, accountability, integrity, and having a great work ethic and doing things the right way. I think that helps me, really get the best out of them, because I don't want to sit here and I'm not going to ever demean anybody or demoralize anybody. And I'm going to be tough on you, and there's a standard, but I think doing it the right way is able to help me, again, preach discipline, accountability, integrity. I think those are all things that are going to help these young men later in life and not just right now. I think those are qualities, those are characteristics that are going to make them better husbands, fathers, employees, and employers.
Well, that's great. Well, Coach Campbell, thank you for spending a few minutes with us
Absolutely.
today. And welcome to Benedict. And I know we're blessed to have someone with your talent and background here at Benedict.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Right. And now we're back to Curtis. Thank you.
When you're competing for every point, you need teammates you can trust. The experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine provide specialized treatment for the athlete in all of us. Backed by the #1 rated hospital in the Midlands. Life's a sport. Keep playing.
Welcome back to Inside Benedict Football with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr., brought to you by Founders Credit Union. We also want to give big shouts to our other sponsors as well. We appreciate you being on board with this show. And also getting to know our Columbia Metropolitan Airport assistant coach spotlight, Shay Campbell, who is the defensive coordinator, as well as the linebackers coach. You got to learn a little bit about that guy as well as we get into the season. We're going to learn more about different players as well as different coaches as we spotlight. So, Coach, we get a bye week coming up already so soon. Do you like that, or you're figuring, hey, this is what happens?
I love it. And as I told the team, in my post-game speech, that was an exhibition game for us. And we got to look at it like that. And we got to find every mistake we made off the field, on the field, and we got to correct it. And so going into a game this week, especially playing on Sunday, not getting back till Monday afternoon, that would have been detrimental to, I think, where we are in our learning. And so when I had the opportunity, I told Coach Washington, give me this open week here so we can make our corrections. Because again, that was the first time that team ever played a football game. It was the first time this coaching staff ever coached. And for us to come out of it looking at and playing a great team, as Virginia State was, we helped that team win. And so now it gives us time to get healthy, get rest, make the corrections, and then get ready to go into the following week, with Lane as our home opener. And so, being that gives us a little more time, again, to correct our mistakes, but get ready for Lane. And then we'll be able to, watch Lane, because I think they open up with Jackson State this week. They didn't play last week, so they got to watch us. Now we get to watch them. And you know, the one thing I do know about Lane is offensively, they like to go to high tempo offense. And so, you know, that'll kind of fit into what we do because we do that somewhat on offense, you know, and they're very talented on offense. Their defense, they have quite a few guys coming back on defense. And so, you know, we're going to have to be sound. We can't give them the ball like, you know, we did with Virginia State. But coming in as a good team, you know, that's what Lane is. And the good thing is that we don't have to do all that traveling. We'll be right here at home. We'll be playing at home. And so we'll be playing in front of our peers and family and everything else on that. But, you know, Lane will come in as a very good team. And the best thing about it, it's the next game that we get to play.
That's going to be a September 14th over Charlie W. Johnson Stadium. Going to have a 6 p.m. kickoff. Make sure you get some tickets. Bring everybody you know to Charlie W. Johnson Stadium to root on your Benedict College Tigers. Very important to have that stadium full, especially for the home game.
It is. You know, it's an honor for those young men to look up. Some of them come from California. Some of them come from, you know, Florida and Mississippi, and their parents aren't able to come. And so as they see the support, you know, that's the thing. And I'm, you know, going to talk about me coaching life again. We can't ask these young men to do something if we don't show up and support them. And so, you know, don't demand them to win, and that's anything, if you're not going to show up, you know, and that's what they need. And I'm really excited because from what I've heard, you know, ticket sales been going well. There's a lot of people that are very anxious to see what we can do because they weren't able to go up to Canton. And so, you know, we're going to make our corrections, and we're going to put the best 11 on the field on special teams, offense, and defense, and it's going to be an exciting game.
Your dad, Ron Dickerson Sr., he was at the game in Canton. He was also a defensive coach as well, 4 different colleges, right?
Quite a few.
and so what did he say to you after this game?
You know, it's funny, and I'll talk about my dad, but my phone has been blowing up from guys that I played with in the NFL, former players that I've played, you know, because that game was on TV, former coaches, and they said, you know, the biggest adjustment is from week 1 to week 2. You guys did a great job. You know, we can tell where the inexperience was, but keep pushing forward, make the corrections. And, you know, that's what my dad told me. He just looked at me and said, you know, I see the development, but you have to put more discipline in there, and that comes from the penalties that we had. Is, you know, people don't understand it, but that's discipline. And like I told the staff this morning, is that if we continue to do that, then that's on us. And, you know, I know kids are going to get anxious and everything else, but we really got to hold in, because if we don't have all those hidden yard penalties, that's probably a different game. And, you know, we can say that now looking back into it. But that was the biggest thing that he, you know, encouraged. He was very positive. You know, he just said, Ron Jr., just keep coaching. Coach life into him, and coach the little things.
Which is important, no question. We're going to see you in 2 weeks at Charlie W. Johnson Stadium. Remember, 6 p.m. kickoff against the Lane College Dragons and your Benedict College Tigers. We need that stadium to be rocking with you guys supporting the Tigers. And we appreciate you watching Inside Benedict Football with Coach Ron Dickerson Jr.